Thank you, everyone. It's amazing to be here presenting to you all today. And I would like to first of all thank the sponsors and the organizers and you for coming in this and hear us in this session today. I have Liz alongside me. She has been introduced already. Look, what are we going to be covering? You can see us there. You can connect with us on LinkedIn. And we're going to give an overview on Azure OpenAI to you. But before I do that, who doesn't like a puppy, right? That's my puppy. She was about 2-3 months old there. And she was sick yesterday. That's her like a few months ago. And I think that's going to be her maybe in a few years' time, okay? And she was a bit sick yesterday. I couldn't make it to the speaker dinners, but she's better today. Finger crossed, she's alone at home. Look, we are here today to talk about Azure OpenAI. And I will give you an overview for Azure OpenAI for data professionals like you and like me. And Liz is here to present Microsoft Fabric as well. Cool. Look, to start with, Azure OpenAI, we created a partnership with OpenAI in 2019, where we invested heavily in OpenAI, and since last year, we released OpenAI modules in Azure. You as a customer, enterprise customers or a small customer, you can use OpenAI in Azure. What else we offer there? We offer our security. First of all, you can use role-based access control to OpenAI in Azure. You can integrate OpenAI on your own network as well. And more than that, you can use our Azure services like Azure Cognitive Search. You can also use the web applications, our data and AI technology to surround OpenAI and to give you even better experience. I'll pause here because this session is for you as a data professional, right? And I'm going to show and explain to you the first example. I was thinking about what I'm going to show to the guys at DataEngBytes. Look, if I'm going to be showing you how to write code and use OpenAI to write code for you, you're going to be like, maybe I'm already using it. And then I start thinking about, I'm going to give a use case for you. Very, very common use case for big organization or small. You always have people coming to the business to develop, like a data analyst, a data engineering. You have data professionals coming. And what task you need to do when someone joins your company? They need to understand your code standards. They need to understand your design patterns that you're using on your company. They need to go maybe through, I hope they do, go over many documents there to say, look, in the onboarding process, how I should be designing a solution here? Should I be using ETL, ELT? When should I be using one of those two? And OpenAI can help you with that. I'll give an example over here. You have OpenAI there in the middle, and then we can connect to data source. Let's say you have some PDF there, some markdown files, some text, some PowerPoints about your code standards, about your design decisions that you have done for your data platform. And you can provide that for a data person like me. You can give an introduction, but you're not going to be solved all in a single day. It's going to be hard. So that's when OpenAI comes to the picture here. You ingest that files to OpenAI service, and then I'm going to show you a demo now. Let's go to the Azure portal here. I have a web page where I use a new feature that we released for OpenAI about 2 months ago. It's called Add Your Own Data. That means any documents that you have about your data projects, you can come and add to OpenAI. And any data professionals in your company can start asking questions. And this is the portal that you can come and ask questions. What I'm going to tell you here, what I'm showing you now, I can guarantee to you, you can do this in 5 to 10 minutes. If you take more than that to have a web page like this with your document, come and talk to me. And then when you leave the session today, go back to your company and say to your manager, see, you paid for me to be at DataEngBytes. I learned about OpenAI. I'm going to revolutionize our project here. Everything we are doing here. Let me show you how. And they're going to give you a pay rise, guaranteed. Look, I do have here an example that I'm going to be asking in this website. I'm asking basically there, what are the naming conventions for variable in Python? You want to know on your company internally how they usually give the naming convention for variables. Someone told me my first day, but I don't remember anymore. You can come over here and asking for examples. Let me just do, okay, enter. Good. Now it's going to go not to the model and find an answer. It's going to go over your documentation that you added from your local team that you developed, your best practices internally, is going to get an answer for you. It's going to explain over here, avoid using lower letters and so on, and then provide you some examples over here. It gave more than I asked for, but that's prompt engineering. You can improve that, and then it will give you only what you're looking for. And then also provide some examples, and also a reference where this information came from there. Which document? If I want to go and read more about that and say, okay, look, this is good, but I want to understand more. You can click there and find more information on that. Basically over here, but then you can go to SharePoint or where you have files and learn more. Cool. This is the first example here. The second one, on your first day, you start writing some code. I hope so. And then you want to validate it, what you wrote, if it's correct or not, because you're not quite sure there. You paste your code, like you can see there, is like a Python code. You are asking if the code below is following your company standards. And basically, OpenAI is going over your documents and see, oh, no, you're not following our standards. This is the new code with the standards that you should be following for variables names, okay? I'm doing all of this as using the web interface, but you can automate this using CI/CD. That's my next demo as well. But before I go to the next demo, let me show one more here. Let's say I'm new there. I'm not sure if I should be using ELT or not, or which use case I should be using ELT. And I'm asking, when should I be using ELT? This is going to go to your company documents and find use cases there and give me an answer with the bullet points when you should be using ELT. And if you want to learn more, again, go to the reference, Enterprise BI, ADF content, and so on. You can find there. But this is always looking the documents that you upload to Azure OpenAI. It's not going to go to the modules that is available already there and find an answer. It's looking your documents. Cool. Look, next demo that I want to show you. Let me just go over. This was, okay. This was in case the internet didn't work. Let me go back to the slides. Here we go. The next one. We released as well Copilot for VS Code and many IDEs. As you can see in the bottom there, what we support today. It's called the AI pair programming, where you can do Python, SQL, and many other languages there. You can see there in Python, it's asking to validate each address. And the Copilot is help behind the scenes you to write that code for you. It's assistant. Last week I was talking to one of my colleagues over East, a cloud solution architect, and a financial service that's working very close with us at Microsoft are leveraging Copilot for the last 6 months, and they saw an increase of productivity on their data team of 45% on development time. But I'm not demoing that one today. I'm going to do the next one, is the code review, and then I'll hand over to Liz. That's very patiently waiting for me. Look, the next one there is basically, if you use Azure DevOps or you use GitHub, I have a solution for you for code review. And let's go there. Look, I'm going to show you a Python code that is in Microsoft Fabric. I have here a sample notebook. Come on, it's refreshing. A sample notebook, very simple. I made some mistakes there just to show some comments to you all. Not code mistake, but I'll show you now. There's no comments, and I'm importing a module that I'm not using at all. You can see here below here, import Azure ML, I'm not using, and there is no comments in my code. My Microsoft Fabric is connected to Azure DevOps, as soon as I commit and I create a pull request, I create a process during my pull request to validate my code. And then you can see over here, if I increase the font size, it makes some recommendations for me here on my code. That means it's reviewing my code, what I have done. It's telling me my commit message, it would be helpful to provide more context. And then also it's telling here that I should be adding comments to explain the purpose of my change, my code as well. And the one over here below, import Azure ML, seems unnecessary, could be removed. Then you can see, this is to help you spark some ideas and what else can you use? The opportunities here are immense, okay? But the same thing I have done with Azure Databricks. Create a notebook in Azure Databricks, commit the notebook in GitHub, and then in GitHub over here, I have a pull request called the Lakehouse pull request with the same code. I'm going to scroll down to this one here. And I'm using different prompt here. So it's giving me a little bit different answer, but you can see here it's providing me some comments about my code. It says what my code is doing, basically, but overall, I need to provide more descriptive comments to my code. And also, the Azure ML module is not used. I should be removing that. And then a few more comments here about code standards and so on. Okay? You saw how to do this, and then let me explain what I'm using. I'm using GitHub Action, and my GitHub Action is calling basically an AI code enhancement. It's a Python code where I call the OpenAI service. And over here, I have a prompt, and then I call the OpenAI service. If you are using Azure DevOps, you can use an extension. This is the extension that I used. And it's very well explained over here how you can use that as well as part of your PR. And cool, look, I'm going to hand over to Liz now. And Liz, over to you.
Thank you, Sergio. And hello, everyone. A quick show of hands if you have heard about Fabric, Microsoft Fabric, or seen it, or experimented. Wow, that's a lot. And thank you for doing that. Okay, in the next 6 to 12 months, if you see a surge of increase in using Facebook, Twitter, Instagram during the working hours, specifically by people who are data engineers, data scientists, data analysts, or business analysts, don't go for doing a root cause analysis. The root cause is going to be Microsoft Fabric. So we are actually, I've been doing these briefings on Microsoft Fabric for the last 6 to 9 months. And normally it takes about 60 to 90 minutes to do the briefing, and I hardly cover 100% of it. I probably would cover 60% of Microsoft Fabric in that time, right, of an hour. Good luck to me for giving you a gist of Microsoft Fabric in the next 30 seconds. So if I had to go back.
Yep.
Let's see. Sorry. All right, so what is Microsoft Fabric? It's a SaaSified service. It's not a SaaS service. And I'm making that very clear because if it is a SaaS service, it's sitting in some other tenancy. This is a SaaSified service sitting in your tenancy. You have full control over it. You define your networking guardrails and your security guardrails and how it's deployed, including your private endpoints, private link servers, VPNs, firewalls, you name it. Now, what we have done with Microsoft Fabric, we have brought all the different experiences, including data integration, which is your data factory for orchestrating and creating your transformations, your data engineering experience, data science experience using your Spark and notebooks, your data warehousing experience using your T-SQL or an MPP engine, your real-time analytics experience using KQL, which is also called as Azure Data Explorer, and your business KPIs using Power BI. There is one other very cool thing that we have brought into Fabric, which is called as Data Activator. It's great to get insights and intelligence, but how do you make it actionable? It's as simple as creating a Teams message or sending an email or even creating a whole Power App application and making your insights and intelligence actionable through Data Activate. So we're bringing all that experiences together. We're creating this concept of one copy of data across your organization, which is a one lake. It's an abstraction layer, it's a logical lake, it's not a physical thing. You're not creating a data swamp. You're basically creating an abstraction layer for all your data, regardless of where it sits. It can sit in your existing Azure Data Lake storage account. It can sit in AWS S3. It can sit in GCP. It can be sitting in a SQL Server instance, a SQL database, doesn't really matter. So you're creating a one abstraction layer for all that data that is sitting across your organization, truly enabling that one copy of data. And there is also another cool concept called shortcuts, which enables you to share your data across your organization without having to duplicate the data. So I think I've done justice for Fabric. Now going on to the coolest things in Fabric, which is the Copilot experiences. So you're going to see an array of Copilot experiences, including the creative assistant, the content generation, helping you with creating reports and dashboards through to your data engineering. If you want to create a data science model from scratch, you can have an assistant helping you create that data science model from scratch, all that experiences. So I'm going to give you a series of demos, which is going to cover what is going to be there from a Power BI point of view. There's going to be a data integration, data factory, Copilot experience that I'm going to show. I'm also going to show you a data engineering experience where you're using a Spark notebook and a Copilot experience in Spark notebook and a data science model experience as well. So starting off with data exploration and authoring using Power BI. I know some of you might have seen this publicly available. So this is basically helping you create a DAX.
Let's take a look at how Power BI is integrating Azure OpenAI to empower everyone to quickly find and share insights. First, let's look at how we're adding Copilot capabilities for authoring calculations in Power BI's expression language, DAX. Let's say I want to create a calculation for profit margin in my model. Now, just by adding a comment, the new DAX Copilot understands both my model schema and common business definitions to correctly create the calculation. Once calculations are created, users can then quickly and easily use them inside their Power BI reports. The Copilot works for both basic measures like profit margin, but also complex ones like rolling averages or adding filters based on records in my database. And because of the amazing generative capabilities of Azure OpenAI, I can even do things like authoring comments in German, and the Copilot does not miss a beat generating DAX calculations based on my requests. Generating calculations in the context of a company-specific business model is a huge productivity boost for analysts, and will help more users ramp up on using the incredibly powerful DAX language.
If what you heard about Microsoft Fabric and what you've seen just now is increasing productivity, what you're going to see next is going to be a step up. So this is going to be a demo where we're going to walk you through like how Copilot could be used to actually create a completely new report and a dashboard and a layout from scratch.
Let's take a look at how Copilot in Power BI is empowering everyone to quickly find and share insights. For example, say I'm an HR analyst who is constantly handling requests from my management to do analysis and provide answers. It can take hours and even days to respond with new reports. Now, with Copilot in Power BI, I can simply describe the report I want to build and get insights in seconds. Maybe we need to break down some of our employee data to understand demographics and hiring trends. I just describe what I need, and Copilot will automatically analyze my data and create a new report based on my needs. Immediately, I have a beautiful Power BI report that is fully interactive, and I can start slicing and dicing my data to explore deeper. Copilot added the charts and slicers I asked for, but also conveniently gives me options to adjust the output to get just what I'm looking for. For example, let's switch to ask for metrics and trends in a slightly different layout. Automatically, Copilot updates the report. Let's go ahead and keep this report page. But it goes much further. I can also ask analysis questions such as why is our attrition rate going up? Copilot responds by adding a new page to my report and uses Power BI's built-in advanced analysis capabilities for finding key influencers for variables in my data. In addition to giving me a summary of insight about different employee types having different attrition rates, I can easily explore Power BI's key influencer visual to see what's driving the biggest impact to our attrition rate. I can even automatically see the most significant segments in my data just by clicking. Now let's go back to the first page and finish up our new report. I'm going to ask Copilot to make it look like our existing exec dashboard, and instantly it's applied the same formatting and style and adjusted the layout to match. Best of all, I can still interact directly with the Power BI report that the Copilot has created for me. So for example, if I wanted to manually change this bar chart to a tree map on my own, it's easy to do so with just a few clicks. Let's add employee functional area, and now I can filter by that new field. Finally, to make the report even easier for my team to understand, I'm going to ask Copilot to add a rich text description of my data right inside the report. This narrative summary is fully dynamic, and not only does Copilot highlight interesting insights from my data, but it provides citations from where in the report the data was taken. This summary will update every time the data is refreshed or people filter the report with new insights based on the data. And just like that, in seconds, I've created a report that would have taken hours or days to do manually. Copilot, built on top of Azure OpenAI, is truly revolutionizing how we empower everyone to find and share insights.
So what I've shown you is the Copilot experience in Power BI. What you're going to see now is the Copilot experience in Fabric. And I'm going to show you a couple of instances because obviously we're short of time. How many of you guys have kind of experienced Data Factory? And awesome. So what you're going to see now is a Data Factory experience within Fabric. It's not outside of Fabric, it's one UX, user experience. So within Fabric, within Data Factory, in Fabric, how you can use Copilot to actually build a pipeline.
Shows up on the landing page. Let's provide Copilot with a natural language description of the tasks you wish to achieve. I will ask Copilot to copy data from SQL to a container in the blob storage. The Copilot smartly provides a list of connections, and we don't have to remember the exact name of the connection, making you more productive. Let's choose Contoso Sales SQL and Finance Blob Storage. We can also request Copilot to perform additional activities to help us build a metadata-driven pipeline, such as looking up the country name column from the country metadata table to obtain the source tables based on the listed countries. This command will immediately create activities on the canvas, including lookup, for each, and a well-parameterized copy activity. You can regenerate the pipeline for an alternative one, allowing you to choose the best generated pipeline for your use case. To regenerate, let's click on the Regenerate button. The Copilot regenerated an alternative pipeline with the same user input that was passed earlier. Additionally, Copilot provides you with IntelliSense for connection selection and suggests the next steps. In this case, let's click on Run the Pipeline. Within seconds, the pipeline will execute successfully. This is how we're bringing Copilot into Data Factory to improve data engineers' productivity, making data integration easy by allowing you to describe complex tasks in natural language. Thank you for viewing this sneak.
Okay, so what you saw is the Data Factory experience, right? So some of the rudimentary tasks that we do in Data Factory day in and day out, all that can be handled by OpenAI and ChatGPT and the conversational and generative AI that we are bringing in as part of the Copilot experiences. Now, we're going to talk about like the data engineering and the data science. So I'm going to show you a demo which is basically an assistant that is sitting there helping a data scientist build a model from scratch through the conversations.
As a data scientist, I've been given the assignment to explore relevant data and identify trends that financial analysts can use to make better decisions. First, I'd like to explore the data so I can understand it. I'll start by opening up a notebook inside the Fabric Data Science homepage. Instead of starting from a blank canvas, let's use Copilot to get some suggestions on how to segment my data. Copilot helps me create a Pandas data frame query, pulling in relevant data about the company's sales history and profitability from 2022. The Python code looks great, so I have Copilot inserted into the notebook as a new cell, and I execute it. Immediately, I get a data frame with lots of historical sales information across multiple industries. It's a good start, but I want to explore the data further. To do this, I open up a new code cell. I can use Copilot right inside the cell to help me generate code. I'm going to type %% and use IPython magic commands powered by Azure OpenAI. I can ask to break out the data frame by industry and group similar industries together by category through natural language. And just like that, I receive data about the industries with the highest profit margins.
Now I'd like to perform some k-nearest neighbors analysis on the data. I'm going to add another code cell. Let's add to the start of the code I want to write. And immediately you can see Copilot auto-completed the rest of the code. I can just hit Tab to accept it. But when I try to run it, you'll see I get an error. Not from the auto-completed Copilot code, but because I didn't import the mflow package. Fortunately, I can just click Fix with Copilot, and Copilot will update my code and correctly import mflow at the top of the cell. And now when I execute, I see my data visualized.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed all of those Copilot demos that we could bring in as part of the Fabric as well as the Power BI experiences. What you're going to see in GA or in public previews is the Power BI Copilot experiences, and we're going to also kind of start releasing the Fabric Copilot experiences that we've just demoed today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.